how do I get a perfect dart is from one nipple to another. So the distance from one nipple to the other nipple, which is the bust span. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Hope your day is going on well. Thanks so much for watching my video. Thank you for the encouragement, the love, and the support. I am so grateful. I am Honor Premium Fashion, and if this is your first time on this channel, you are highly welcome. Please kindly subscribe, like, share, comment on my videos, as this will help me to drop more video. So in today's video, we learn how to draft a basic body pattern. And if this is the kind of video you've been waiting for, you are in the right place. So I have my pattern paper, I have my scissors, I have my ruler, I have my tape and my marker, which I'll be making use of. So the first thing I'm going to do is to roll out the shoulder line. So I have my shoulder line roll out, and from this shoulder line I'll be taking the neckline measurement. And for this tutorial I'll be making use of 3 inches for the neckline width by 3 inches. And for the across shoulder, I'll be making use of 8 inches. That is mainly the basic. So from here, I'm going to connect this with my pattern master. Another shoulder line, I'm going to measure 1 inches downward, and I'll be connecting this for the shoulder slants. From my shoulder slants, I'm going to measure the armhole circumference or the chest line. And for this, I'm going to make use of 7.5 inches. And the next thing I'm going to do is to take the vertical measurements. So I'm going to measure the bust point, which is 10 inches. The under bust, which is 13 inches. The half length, which is 17 and half. Hip line, I'll be making use of 25 inches. Then the full length, I'll make use of 30 inches. So I'm going to roll this out. So I have labeled these accordingly, and I have the chest line, which is the armhole line. I have the bust, the under bust, the hip, the waist, the hip, and the full length. So the next thing I'm going to do is to repeat the across shoulder measurements I marked here, which is 8 inches. And that's what I'll be doing now. So I have 8 inches. And I'm going to roll this out on a straight line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the body circumference. And for the bust, I have 9.5. That is 38 divided by 4, which is 9.5. And also for the waistline, I'm going to measure 8.5. That is 34 divided by 4. We give us 8.5. And for the hip, I have 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 will give us 10 inches. And I'll be repeating this on the full length. I'll go ahead and connect this together with my ruler. So I have the basic body pattern ready. And the next thing I'm going to do is to measure the dart intake. How do I get a perfect dart? Is from one nipple to another. So the distance from one nipple to the other nipple, which is the bust span. For the sake of this tutorial, I'll be making use of 8 inches. You know, depending on how busty the person is. So 8 divided by 2 will give us 4 inches. So on the waistline, I'm going to measure 4 inches. I will also repeat this on the bust line. So from the bust line, I'm going to measure 1 inch downward. So I have 1 inch. And on the waistline, this is 4 inch. On the waistline, I'm going to come up by 2 inches. I'm going to come up by 2 inches. And I'll be rolling this out to have a perfect line. From the 1 inches below the bust line to the 2 inches above the hip line. So I have the straight line. And the next thing I'm going to do is to measure 1 inch on both sides of the waistline. So I have 1 inch to the left and the 1 inch to the right. So I'm going to connect this to this 1 inch below the bust point. And also connect to the 2 inches above the hip line. So I have the side darts ready. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and take the bust darts. And on the bust line, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. And on this line, on the bust line, remember I have 3 inches, so I'm going to divide this into 2, and I have 1.5. So from this 1.5, I'll be connecting to the 1.5 I marked here. So I have this. Also, I will mark 1/2 inch to the left and to the right. So I have the side darts and I have the bust darts ready. I'll go ahead and take the armhole circumference here. And to have a perfect armhole, I'm going to measure this. I have 7.5. So 7.5 divided by 2 will give me 3 3/4. 3 3/4. So I have 0.5 from here, and the reason why I measure 0.5 inch is to avoid excesses on the armhole parts. So I'm going to connect this with my curve ruler. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and I'll be drafting the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I have 8 inches by 3 inches for the neck width, and for the neck depth, I'm going to measure 1 inch, depending on how high or how low you want it to be. So I'm going to make use of 1 inch for the back depth. So I'm going to connect this together. So the next thing I'm going to do is to measure the shoulder slant, which is 1 inch, and I'll be connecting this. And for my shoulder slants, I'm going to measure the chest line, which is 7.5, or the armhole 7.5. Then also I'll go ahead and measure the bust line, which is 10 inches, the waistline, which is 17.5, the hip line, which is 25 inches, then the full length of my dress, which is 30 inches, and I'll be rolling this out. For this particular back pattern, I will not be adding any zipper allowance. So I'll just roll this out. Go ahead and label this accordingly. The shoulder line, the chest line, the bust, the waist, the hip, then the full length. The across shoulder measurements, which is 8 inches. And I'll be connecting this with my ruler. I'll go ahead and take the bust circumference and which is 38 inches divided by 4, 9.5. Then on the waistline, I'm going to take the waist circumference, which is 34 divided by 4, which will give us 8.5. Hip circumference, I have 40 divided by 4 will give us 10 inches. Then the same thing will be repeated on the full length. I'm going to extend my line a little. And I'll be connecting this with my ruler. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure the dart intake. And remember, for the front part of my pattern, I measure 4 inches. So 4 inches, 4 inches. I will come up on the hip line by 2 inches. Then I'm going to connect this together. However, for the dart intake for the back pattern, the dart intake for the back pattern, I'm going to measure 0.5 on both sides. And this is what I'll be connecting to the bust line and to the 2 inches above the hip line. So I have the darts. One whole part, I'm going to connect this with my curve ruler. So I have this, I have my pattern, the back pattern, ready to be cut. So I have the pattern for the front and the back body. Remember, I didn't add any allowance on this pattern, So whenever I want to make use of my pattern, I'm going to add the allowance, both for the darts and the sewing allowance. So I have the front and I have the back. If you find this tutorial helpful, kindly subscribe to my channel and do not forget to click on the notification bell to get notified when I upload new videos. Remember, all I'm premium fashion love you. Bye.